cameras, giant planters and bollards to turn away cars. So could backing drivers and rejecting controversial schemes like ULEZ help Rishi Sunak win the next election? Let's ask tonight's newsmaker, former government minister, best-selling author and television personality Anne Widdecombe. Anne, what do you think about this? We spoke last week, didn't we, about the Tories cooling it when it comes to net zero policies. Now the PM speaks up for motorists. Do you notice a significant gear change at the heart of government?
Yes, absolutely. And they have clearly been very influenced by the outcome of the Uxbridge by-election. And they've woken up to something which most of us have been telling them for a very long time, which is that things have gone too far. Everybody wants clean air, but when they have to pay disproportionate amounts out of their pay packets, they take a rather different view. Everybody wants to see less traffic on the street, but when it's actually impacting on their ability to get to work, on their ability to do what they've got to do, then they don't want it. And the problem is that, as I've said so often in so many different contexts, the sheer absence of proportionality, of saying, yes, this is good, but on the other hand, too much of it is bad, and we have to try and find some sort of happy medium. Now, Rishi Sunak is a late convert to that, a very late convert indeed. Reform have been saying it for a very long time. But the question is not what he says. They say anything, this government, anything at all. It's not what he says, it's what he does. So I'm going to reserve judgment on Rishi's conversion until I see what he actually does about it.
Anne, I know you've got high hopes for Reform UK at the next election. I do think they could do very well. What about Labour? Do you think policies like ULEZ could be Labour's poll tax moment?
Oh, yes, I do. And I think that's a very, very apt comparison. Now, the Conservatives realised that. They rode back on the poll tax. They won the subsequent election. So it's perfectly possible that Keir Starmer will learn from that and he'll roll back on ULEZ and therefore not perform and not be subject to an unexpected defeat at the election. It is perfectly possible that is what he will do. And were I in his shoes now, I'd probably be thinking along those lines. But it's mighty cynical. Because after all, he said, what's he going to actually do to implement all the net zero and the clean air and you know, all the other stuff? What's he actually going to do about it?
Now, Anne, you always look fabulous when you're on the show. We love having you on the programme. Politics legend, TV personality, always so well dressed. I can see you're wearing an extra layer tonight because even though it's July, you are shivering in your Devon home. But the UN chief, Antonio Guterres, says the era of global warming has ended and the era of global boiling has begun. Are you boiling?
Certainly not. And I think if the man really believes that, then he's an idiot. I mean, I've heard all sorts of pronunciations from the various scientists. I've never yet heard anybody say with a straight face that we're about to boil. We're clearly not. And the weather is doing what the weather has always done, which is behaving totally inconsistently and generally having a very good time frustrating everybody's predictions. No, we're not boiling. It's time to stop the scaremongering. Time again to go for proportionality. Time to review the net zero in terms of, first of all, the very small impact it will have. This country contributes 1% towards global warming. China contributes over a quarter of the world's carbon emissions. Now, it's like a builder going into a building and he sees a ceiling falling down, and there in the distance, there's a little tiny crack in another part of the ceiling. So he focuses on the little tiny crack. And that is what is happening with net zero. We're focusing on areas which aren't going to contribute very much while just turning a blind eye or shrugging our shoulders at any rate because there's nothing we can do to stop China when it comes to the really serious stuff. So proportionality, again, there's no need for Britain to suffer when we contribute so little.
Anne, listen, I'm going to miss you hugely. It's my last show until September. Couple of seconds on Keir Starmer and his U-turns. Do these U-turns demonstrate that Labour are serious about government?
It demonstrates that they're desperate to be in government and that they'll sacrifice any old principle if they think it'll get them another percentage point in the polls. I mean, I have been appalled by the U-turns, not because I don't think he's being converted to sense. I think he is. But the reason I'm appalled by the U-turns is that they are so frequent, so fundamental. I mean, it isn't sort of superficial policy that he's doing it on, and so utterly cynical, because he hasn't had some great conversion. He's just looked at what public opinion is saying and thinks, oh dear, I better reverse that. Yeah, where is the principle? What does this man stand for? Oh, somebody tell me, because I don't know.
And have a brilliant August. You'll be in the company of the wonderful Leo Curse, who's looking after Mark Dolan tonight, and I'll see you in September.